Alright, y'all, so the first day of free agency has officially ended. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. So many players hop teams, so let's just jump right into it, bro. So the first team that we will be grading is the Chicago Bulls. To me, the Chicago Bulls get an A. They signed Lonzo Ball on a 4-year, $85 million contract, and that was a steal to me. I thought Lonzo Ball was going to make at least $25 million a year this season, considering he was also in a bidding war with the New York Knicks and the Chicago Bulls to try and get him. So I thought his stock was going to be a little bit higher. 4 years, $85 million for a guy who is great on defense, who has improved a lot on his three-point shooting, and will improve even more in the coming years, and also is a really good playmaker. Lonzo Ball is a win-now move to get Zach LaVine to the playoffs, and is very integral considering they want to hash out an extension with Zach LaVine. They also signed Alex Caruso to 4 years, $37 million, which is about the mid-level exception, and that was a really good signing. Alex Caruso is a great defensive guard with a three-point shot now. He shot 40% from three last year, and all around, he's an amazing role player, and the Chicago Bulls are looking better and better every day. And then the LA Lakers get a B+. Now look, for any other team, this free agency wouldn't be anything big. I mean, yeah, you got Kent Bazemore, Wayne Ellington, Dwight Howard, and Trevor Ariza, but for the Lakers, it is an amazing free agency. They had no spacing. I mean, why don't you get Wayne Ellington, who shot 42% from three on 6 attempts last year? Kent Bazemore is a fouling machine, but he can hit a three-point shot sometimes. And Trevor Ariza is going to reunite and hopefully get LA their 18th championship. Why this free agency day was so important was that they got great role players, and they still can sign and trade Dennis Schroeder for another three-point shooter. This is very important for the Lakers. Their spacing was looking very lackluster when they got Russell Westbrook, but now I think it's improved a little bit. Dwight Howard coming back. I mean, he slowed down a little bit, but Dwight Howard is still a really good role player. And yeah, Kent Bazemore, I don't know what to think about that. But Kent Bazemore might hit a couple threes for you. The main thing is that you get Russell Westbrook some shooting. And then to me, the team that had the best free agency day to day was the Miami Heat. So of course they get an A+. They signed and trade for Kyle Lowry, and they signed him to a 3-year, $90 million deal. They re-signed Dwayne Dedmon, who was a great backup center for him last year, who came to the Heat with low expectations and really just fit a role perfectly, playing really good defense, rebounding really well, hitting his free throws, and shooting well from the field. Dwayne Dedmon knows his role, and that is perfect as a backup center. They re-signed Duncan Robinson to a 4-year, $90 million deal, which is $18 million a year, but I think he deserves it. I mean, Duncan Robinson is like one of the top 5 shooters in the league, and as a catch and shooter, he had an all-time great season in 2020. He shot 46% on catch and shoot threes, which is ridiculous. That's crazy. Duncan Robinson will help that spacing out, considering if the Heat do get DeMar DeRozan, they gonna need that spacing. Because imagine a closing lineup with Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, DeMar DeRozan, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo. That lineup cannot shoot. So Duncan Robinson is even more important. But they got him back on a good deal, considering some teams will offer him about $20 million a year. And they also got PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker can't shoot anymore. I don't think he can. He doesn't shoot, but as a defender, PJ Tucker is amazing. I'll show you this graphic of him locking up Kevin Durant. But PJ Tucker just has that intensity that you need on a contender. And I don't know if this pushes the Heat into contention in the East, but it definitely makes him a top 3 to 4 favorite for being in the Eastern Conference Finals. And then we have the Portland Trailblazers. They had a very sneakily good offseason, and I give them a B+. They re-signed Norman Powell to a 5-year, $90 million deal, which is $18 million a year. $18 million a year for Norman Powell is great, considering he is making the same money as Duncan Robinson. And to me, Norman Powell is better than Duncan Robinson. He's a 3-and-D wing, and if you can get a 3-and-D wing these days for $18 million, that helps a lot. It also helps retain Damian Lillard, but I don't think Norman Powell is a star player that Damian Lillard really wants at this point in his career. They also got Cody Zeller on a 1-year deal. He's a good starting big man, good backup big man, just a good rotational big man in general. And Ben McLemore to a 1-year deal, which probably won't get much playing time, but he can hit a shot. And then the Phoenix Suns offseason looked like this. They brought in JaVale McGee, which is pretty good. They needed a backup center. They brought back Cameron Payne on a pretty good deal, and I think they kind of needed him. Cameron Payne was a really good point guard for him in the playoffs this year, and they brought back Chris Paul. Chris Paul on a 4-year, $120 million deal. That is some serious money. But I think Chris Paul deserved it. He got them to the finals, not as the best player on their team, but he was definitely an integral part. And Chris Paul deserves that money. Who else would you get on the market with that cap space if you were to not sign Chris Paul? So the Suns, to me, they get a C. They did the things that you should do. They didn't impress anything. And then for the New Orleans Pelicans, they get a D. The New Orleans Pelicans struck out. They should have tried and swing for Norman Powell. They didn't. They didn't get him. Yes, they got Devontae Graham. Good shooting point guard. But look at this. They wanted Kyle Lowry. Didn't get him. They wanted Chris Paul. Didn't get him. Wanted Mike Conley. Didn't get him. Let go of Lonzo Ball. And guess who their point guard is now? Tomas Satoransky. Do you think Zion will want to stay in New Orleans if his point guard is Tomas Satoransky? That man will pull an AD and go join a team that will be a contender. Tomas Satoransky ain't gonna cut it. New Orleans, you need to let go of some of them draft picks and be aggressive to make sure you can make the playoffs with your future superstar player in Zion Williamson. And for the New York Knicks, they get a B. They had a sneakily good offseason to me. They brought back Derrick Rose. They brought back Nerlens Noel. They brought back Alec Burks. And they also signed Evan Fournier. Evan Fournier, his contract is pretty damn big. But I do think it's important. They were not good on offense at all last season. Evan Fournier is important because you can take the ball out of Julius Randle's hands. And we know Julius Randle's a one-trick pony in the postseason that gets clamped up. So if you can keep the ball out of Julius Randle's hand and get more scores, I think it's good. They lost Reggie Bullock, but I don't think it was a big thing. I mean, do you think you would want to pay Reggie Bullock 3 years, $30 million? I wouldn't want to do that. So there's no problem with them losing Reggie Bullock. But the biggest thing is that they re-signed their really good free agents, and they also got a scorer in Evan Fournier. Sneakily good. I think they can be a playoff team again this year. Maybe Julius Randle will take a step back, but nonetheless, a really good offseason for the New York Knicks. And then we're going to fly through these last couple ones because there weren't many moves. The Sacramento Kings get a B. They keep Richaun Holmes, which is very important. They also got Mo Harkless on a 2-year, $9 million deal. But who cares about Mo Harkless? Richaun Holmes came back on a 4-year, $55 million deal. Yes, pay this man. I love Richaun Holmes, man. A really underrated player, and 4 years, $55 million deal is a really good contract for Richaun Holmes. He can play defense. He's pretty damn good offensively, and yeah, a great locker room guy and a great energy player. A young team like the Sacramento Kings need him to make a playoff or a play-in push. And then we'll go over some of the smaller signings. Jared Allen got re-signed for 5 years, $100 million. Pretty good contract. Torrey Craig got signed for 2 years, $10 million to the Indiana Pacers. I love Torrey Craig. I hope we trade back for him. That sounds stupid, but I hope we trade back for Torrey Craig. We need defense. Boban Marjanovic returns on a 1-year deal. He's a nice guy, so he deserves it. Tim Hardaway Jr. signs a 4-year, $74 million deal. This is a loss for the Mavericks. I'll give this a grade real quick. It's a D. You need some more consistent scoring threats, and you re-sign Tim Hardaway Jr. Luka gonna be out of Dallas, bruh. This is not the early 2000s where Dirk Nowitzki will stay with your mediocre franchise for multiple seasons, and Zach Collins signs a 3-year, $22 million deal with the San Antonio Spurs. I think that was a good signing. Zach Collins still has some potential. But let's get into the last team we gonna grade, and this is the Brooklyn Nets, and they get an F. They missed out on so many good free agents, some people they can bring back. They lost Jeff Green to the Nuggets, which, hey, I love that, man. I love a little bit of Jeff Green in Denver, you know what I'm saying? But they lost Jeff Green. They haven't gone for any minimum free agent. They're not going to get Patty Mills. What are you going to do? The Lakers might get Rudy Gay and Patty Mills. And if you're the Brooklyn Nets, you got to sign some terrible bottom-of-the-rotation players to try and fill out your roster. The Brooklyn Nets get an F. What are you doing? James Harden, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, all of their contracts expire after this season, and you're doing this? Brooklyn, you want to contend. You're not going to contend with 3 superstars and then just bums, because you got to have some depth at the end of the day. We saw the 2011 Heat. All right, man, thank y'all for watching the video. That is 9 days in a row. Our consistency is off the charts, man. So if you're new here, make sure to subscribe. And by the way, I got some free agent things, right? I predicted Spencer Dinwiddie's salary about right in 3 years, $60 million. And I also predicted Lonzo going to the Bulls. But that was kind of, everybody knew that. Thank y'all for watching. And yeah, peace out.
want your bitch, that's why I gave her back. It was boring and I do not be with that. Smoking on this tree, I eat with the cat. It be around me cause I don't trust a soul.